Hey, hi, good morning. It's Thursday, which means that I'm Allie, only on Thursdays apparently. But also that means it's time for the tea. Thanks so much for joining me. Real quick before I forget about it, make sure you follow us on all of our social media. We are on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at BodyCandy. We are bodycandy.com on Snapchat, facebook.com/bodycandybodyjewelry, youtube.com/bodycandybodyjewelry, and pinterest.com/bodycandy. So we're everywhere for your convenience. Please follow us. We really appreciate it. Other than that, today we have serious things to discuss. First of all, I actually want to address what I would consider to be a mistake that I made. And I think it's really important to do that, especially if you understand why you made it. And this is why I'm going to preface my mistake with why this can be very scary for me and why I always tell everybody not to use my advice or not to message me when they're having a medical issue with their piercing, because I'm not medically trained. I'm not seeing you in real life. Those things are really important when it comes to assessing an issue. And with that being said, I had a piercer tell me in the past that if you are having an infection issue, that you should just take your jewelry out. And it did work for me. But what I want to correct about what I said is that taking your jewelry out is not always the right response. And I guess, apparently, I'm not saying that like I'm mad that I'm wrong, because I'm not. But apparently, according to the APP guidelines, if you think you have an infection, it might not be the right decision. You might want to wait a certain amount of time to let the infection clear out so that you don't seal that inside your ear. Again, this all comes down to going to see a medical professional. So in that regard, I did not mess up, but I just felt like a few weeks ago, I maybe said something, or it might've been like a month ago now. I just feel like I had said something that was maybe a little bit off target. And I never, ever want to give any of you misinformation. So I had a really wonderful piercer reach out to me and discuss it with me a little bit. Actually, 2 different piercers had reached out. And I just wanted to clarify that before we got going. But that kind of segues us into our topic for today, which is what products you should and shouldn't be using on your piercings and why. I feel like I'm constantly virtually yelling, don't use this, don't use that. But I feel like until you have the information and knowledge to apply to that, that some people just choose to not listen to it, or maybe you don't believe me, which is fine. That's okay. We're all here. We're friends. But at the same time, today I have some whys. I have some explanations as to why those things are bad for you. I do have some notes because I didn't want to mess anything up. So the first thing I want to start with, always with jewelry care, always, if you're touching your piercing, wash your hands. Wash your hands really well. Sing your ABCs 3 times if you have to, but just make sure your hands are super clean. You don't want to be touching your piercing with any extra bacteria. So the first product that I want to talk about not putting on your piercing is soap. I did read and did pick up from an APP thing that I was looking through that some piercers may tell you to use soap, and at that time you should and can. But when they do tell you to use soap, you should be using things that are dye-free, fragrance-free, and free of triclosans. So that means pretty much all of the chemical-y stuff is taken out of them, and they're just a natural soap. Bar soaps collect bacteria, so you really want to avoid that. Triclosan is very damaging to cells. It damages cells, so that's why you don't really want that. And again, I think that I've always kind of maintained you want to keep your piercing care natural. So a natural fragrance-free, dye-free soap is still in that realm. But again, always double check with your piercer. All you have to do is say, hey, is this the right soap? Or before you leave, or you can call, say, hey, what soap should I buy? They're going to be able to give you brands, or even just this is what you should be looking for. Always ask your piercer. That is if you take away anything from every tea video ever, is ask your piercer. The next one is hydrogen peroxide, which a lot of people combat me about. Because they're like, well, when I put it on, it bubbles and it removes dirt. And I know what hydrogen peroxide does. My mom put it on my knee when I was 8. Well, the problem with hydrogen peroxide is it does bubble and remove dirt. It is not an antibacterial. It does not necessarily kill bacteria, and it can damage connective tissue, and it can damage your cells that are trying to heal. So again, slowing your healing process. This can also have a very drying effect. And everything I just said about hydrogen peroxide, apply that to alcohol too. It's very damaging, it's very drying. It's going to hurt your natural, what's called flora on your skin. I shouldn't say it like this, like it's fake. I don't know why I did that. But these things all have very like drying agents to them, and they're so bad. Don't do it. Don't do it. Tea tree oil is the big one that every single week on live, somebody says, use tea tree oil for your problem. Tea tree oil is known as an antifungal, like an antimicrobial. I totally understand that. It's great for other things. But when it comes to your puncture wound on your face, that is not what you should be using. Super, super drying, extremely drying. That's why people use it in hair care products and skincare products. It's used as a balancing agent or like as a skincare. So you can use it on acne and stuff like that. Again, research. You need carrier oils. You can't just be blotting that stuff all over your body. It interrupts your healing process. It's too harsh. It is too much. So don't use it. I know all these things have been taught to us as children and growing up that, oh, you have a cut, you have a scrape, use this. A lot of people use the Bactine, the wound spray. Again, read the bottles on these things. The side of Bactine literally says, do not use on puncture wounds. It's for scrapes and light burns and things like that. Not good. What is good is saline solutions, sea salt solutions, anything like that. As always, I did double check the math on this. Sometimes I tell you guys just to look it up, but today I'm going to tell you. It's 1/8 to 1/4 of a teaspoon of non-iodized sea salt and 8 ounces of distilled water. It's super cheap to make too. That's the nice part. I think some people are like, well, I'm just going to buy this thing. It's going to be easier. It's so cheap to buy both of those items. And then you have a mass quantity of what you need, first of all. Secondly, it's way safer and exactly what your skin needs. The salt and all that is going to help, remove bacteria, remove infection, things like that, or prevent it, really, I should say. More is not better. This is a case where you want to tone it down. You're going to over dry. Once you start putting in too much salt, you're actually doing an opposite effect. So as you can tell, you don't want to use these harsh things. Even salt, you don't want to use too much of it. It's all about moderation and reading your body. And if through the whole process, you have any issues, go to your piercer, call your piercer. I know things with COVID are making things a little bit trickier, especially in some states, but just ask. There's somebody out there that's willing to help you. Again, APP piercers are amazing. Seek them out if you have one near you, if you're lucky enough for that. Please utilize them. That's what they are there for. They want to help you. They want to be a part of your process. The last thing I just wanted to kind of remind you about, in addition to all these things, is you don't want to use ointments. Ointments cut off airflow and circulation and all that. You want to let your piercing breathe. Your body needs that to help it heal. Also, no makeups, no lotions, stuff like that around your piercings, especially while they're healing. Well, as they're healing, I should say. After you're healed up, it's okay. But I hope that this was a little bit more informative. I know it's not like an 8-page paper on each product, but I think sometimes, as I said in the beginning of the video, in order to apply or understand why somebody's telling you don't do this or you should do this, you need to hear why. So I hope that helped a little bit more. I hope that kind of was a little bit more of a deep dive. If you have any questions, as always, please send me an email to dearally@bodycandy.com. I do answer those in written form on Saturdays as well. There's a Dear Allie email. So the tea served hot on Thursdays, Dear Allie sent out on Saturdays. So thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I love you all so much. Don't forget, tomorrow is Friday, which means Facebook Live at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We will, as usual, be doing a giveaway for a year to a monthly club subscription of your choice from our company. We do have 8 of them. They're $14.95 each club for 3 different pieces of jewelry. If you're interested in them, there is a big old button on our homepage, so go look at that. But yeah, you can win a year's worth of one of them. And also we look at new jewelry and have a ton of fun. So I hope to see you tomorrow. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye.